Hi everyone. If you've already seen the intro to this story on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, you can skip ahead to 2 minutes and 50 seconds. It's marked as full story on the progress bar. For better pacing, you can also set the playback speed to 1.3x. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new stories. I won't keep you any longer. Enjoy listening. Cheers. My landlord stole my deposit, so I found every tenant he scammed. I was standing in the empty apartment with my keys in one hand and his message in the other when I realized he had never planned to return my money. His list was almost theatrical: ruined flooring, moisture damage, broken furniture, and a sofa scratched by my cat. I do not own a cat. I had never owned a cat, yet he attached a close-up of 3 long claw marks and wrote, "This alone exceeds the value of your deposit." I am Alex, 29, and until then I thought I was the kind of tenant landlords loved. I paid on time, worked from home, reported leaks immediately, and cleaned the apartment so thoroughly before moving out that my sister joked I was trying to perform an exorcism with disinfectant. The landlord, Victor, had walked through the rooms that morning, nodded at everything and said, "It looks acceptable. I will settle the deposit after checking the bills." 6 hours later, he became completely delulu. I called him before I could overthink it. "You know I do not have a cat," I said. Victor sighed as if I were wasting his time. "The sofa did not scratch itself, Alex. Maybe a guest brought an animal. I cannot investigate your private life. That photo is not from today. The light is different and the sofa is against the opposite wall." "You are becoming emotional because money is involved," he replied. "Please communicate like an adult." That sentence made my face burn more than the accusation. He was not just keeping 3,000 zloty. He was trying to make me feel childish for noticing an obvious lie. I opened every photo he had sent. The warped floorboards were supposedly in the bedroom, but the bedroom had a gray rug covering that exact area during my entire tenancy. The moisture stain was above the kitchen window where I had reported condensation 3 months after moving in. Victor had replied that old buildings need to breathe and told me to open the window more often. The broken chair was one he had removed before handing me the keys. I sent screenshots of those conversations. He answered, "Selective messages do not change the condition of the property." Then he blocked my number. I sat in my half-unpacked room, furious. Tell me honestly in the comments, would you have threatened court immediately or would you have searched for proof first? Because I almost chose anger. Instead, I opened the old rental portal where I had found the apartment and searched the address. The listing was gone, but an archived preview still showed 4 photographs. In the third one, taken 8 months before I moved in, the sofa already had the exact same claw marks. And in the corner of that image, reflected in the television, stood someone holding a phone who definitely was not Victor. The reflection was blurry, but the person had long dark hair and wore a bright yellow jacket. I remembered seeing that jacket folded on the hallway shelf during my viewing. Victor had said it belonged to the previous girl. Now the photograph clearly looked older than my tenancy, and someone else might know when it was taken. I saved the archive page, downloaded the images, and recorded my screen showing the address, upload date, and damaged sofa. I had learned from workplace disputes that screenshots become edited the moment the other side gets nervous. I emailed the files to myself and my sister. She called quickly. "This is not a misunderstanding," she said. "He used an old photo to take your deposit." "I know, but one false photo does not prove the whole list is false. It proves he is willing to lie." Victor could claim he attached the wrong image by accident. He could say the current damage looked identical. He could invent a new explanation every time I closed the previous one. The next morning, I emailed him formally. I listed the deposit, the date I returned the keys, the false cat allegation, and the archived photograph. I requested the full 3,000 zloty within 7 days or invoices for every deduction. He replied 20 minutes later. "Your attempt to intimidate me with internet materials is inappropriate. The damages were verified. Further harassment will be documented." He copied Helena, his property administrator. Helena wrote, "Victor has managed rentals for many years without complaint. Your tone raises concerns about your intentions." That line felt rehearsed. I had not insulted or threatened him. I had asked for my money and evidence, yet 2 people were already building a version where I was aggressive. A friend in compliance called it narrative control. "They want the argument to become about your behavior, not his proof," he said. "Do not give them anger they can quote." I calmly requested the inspection protocol from move-in and move-out. Helena answered that no signed protocol existed because I had declined unnecessary paperwork. Victor had never offered me one. On move-in day, he rushed the handover because another viewing was supposedly waiting downstairs. I had filmed the rooms myself, mostly to remember existing marks. Somewhere in my cloud storage was a shaky video of every wall, floor, chair, cabinet, and corner. I found the folder after an hour. The first clip showed the scratched sofa. The second showed the warped floorboards. The third captured Victor saying, "Do not worry about the stain. It has been there for years." The final clip was worse. As I filmed the hallway mirror, Victor told the woman in the yellow jacket, "I will handle your deposit next week." He had said those exact words to me. I replayed the hallway clip until the words stopped sounding accidental. The woman in yellow was leaving while Victor stood beside me with the keys. She turned back and asked, "You will send the full amount, correct?" Victor promised he would handle her deposit next week. Then he closed the door and told me she had been difficult about cleaning. I had accepted his version because I wanted the apartment. That was painful to admit. He tested the story on me before I moved in, and I rewarded him by believing it. My sister suggested searching local social media groups for the address. I posted carefully without naming Victor. I wrote that I was trying to contact previous tenants regarding a deposit dispute and asked anyone who had rented the apartment to message me privately. Within an hour, Helena emailed, "We have been informed you are publishing defamatory claims about the owner." My post mentioned no owner, amount, or accusation. Someone had still sent it to them immediately. I answered, "Please identify the statement you believe is false." She did not respond. Instead, Victor unblocked me and called. "You are making a serious mistake," he said, almost friendly. "Remove the post, and I may reconsider part of the deduction." "Which deduction are you reconsidering?" "The sofa, perhaps. I am willing to be reasonable." "So the cat damage was not verified?" He paused. "Do not twist my words." I asked why his old listing already showed the scratches. Victor lowered his voice. "People who create public drama often discover that future landlords ask questions. You need references. I would hate for one emotional dispute to follow you." There it was. Not a direct threat, but close enough to tighten my stomach. I had just moved into a room in a shared flat, and the new owner had requested Victor as a reference. "You are threatening my housing because I asked for evidence," I said. "I am explaining consequences. Adults understand consequences." After the call, I wrote down every sentence while it was fresh. I checked the social media post. One profile had commented that tenants often destroy apartments and then organize online mobs. It used a landscape photo, had no personal posts, and listed Helena as a friend. That evening, my new landlord knocked on my door. He held his phone awkwardly. "Your previous owner contacted me. He says you left serious damage and are avoiding payment." I showed him the archived photo and move-in video. His expression shifted, but not enough. "I do not want conflict in this building," he said. "Keep me out of whatever this is." After he left, I received my first private message from the post. It contained 4 words that changed the dispute. I wore the yellow jacket. Her name was Marta. She asked to move the conversation to email because she did not want Victor seeing her active in the group. Her caution felt excessive until she sent a screenshot from 2 years earlier. Victor had written, "After assessing the property, I must deduct your deposit for damaged flooring, moisture near the kitchen window, broken furniture, and animal scratches on the sofa." The order was almost identical to mine. Marta did not own a cat either. She had rented the apartment for 11 months. On move-out day, Victor praised how clean it looked. A week later, he kept her entire deposit. When she argued, Helena accused her of harassment and claimed Victor had photographs, contractor estimates, and witnesses. Marta was 23, working her first city job, and afraid legal fees would exceed the deposit. "I gave up," she wrote. "I thought maybe I had missed something. He made me feel insane." Victor's system depended on more than fake damage. He chose accusations that were hard to disprove, mixed them with one visible defect, then acted offended until tenants doubted themselves. I asked whether she still had move-in photos. She sent a folder showing the same floor damage, stain, scratched sofa, and broken chair. The timestamps were from before her tenancy. We compared messages, even the manipulation repeated. He had told her she was becoming emotional because money is involved. Helena had praised his long history without complaint. They were using a script. Marta agreed to write a statement, then hesitated. "He knows where my parents live," she said. "I used their address on the lease. I do not think he would do anything, but he likes making people feel watched." I promised not to publish her name or documents without permission. The next morning, Victor sent a revised settlement. He offered 600 zloty as goodwill if I signed a statement confirming all deductions were legitimate and agreed not to contact former tenants. I read that clause 3 times. He knew I had found Marta. I called him with my sister listening. "Why does your agreement mention former tenants?" I asked. "Because you are involving strangers in a private issue?" "Which strangers?" "You know exactly what you are doing." His polished tone cracked. I heard Helena whisper near the phone, "Do not name anyone." Victor spoke slowly. "Take the offer. You receive money, I receive peace, and everyone moves forward." I refused. He laughed without warmth. "Then you receive nothing." Minutes later, Marta messaged in panic. Victor had emailed her for the first time in 2 years, claiming she still owed him for repairs and warning he could pursue it if she made false statements. He was not only watching us. Someone was reporting every step. Marta wanted to disappear again. I could hear it in the pauses between her sentences. For 2 years, she had told herself losing the deposit was easier than fighting. "I am sorry," she said. "I should not have contacted you. You did nothing wrong. He is trying to separate us. He can create problems I do not need." I understood. If I pushed her, I would be doing a softer version of what Victor did, using fear to control her choice. I promised to protect her identity and continue with my own evidence. Then she said something unexpected. There was another tenant before me, a man named Damien. Victor blamed him for the sofa too. A package with Damien's name arrived during Marta's first week. She found him online, and during that conversation he warned her to photograph everything because Victor had kept his deposit. Marta had assumed he was bitter. She still had the old chat. Damien's profile was inactive, but his workplace listed a public email. I wrote carefully, explaining the duplicate damage claims and attaching only the archived listing image. I expected silence. He called that afternoon. "You are the 4th person I know about," he said. I stopped pacing. 4th, including me? 4th after me. Damien had fought harder than Marta. He sent a formal demand, obtained an estimate showing the floor damage came from long-term moisture, and threatened court. Victor returned 1,000 zloty, then convinced him to sign a confidentiality clause for the rest. Damien regretted it. "He told me I was lucky to get anything," Damien said. He also claimed Helena saw me damage a cabinet. Helena never entered while I lived there. I asked about the other tenants. One was Lena, the other used the apartment through a company relocation program. I never found his full name. Damien still had every email, including a photograph Victor claimed was taken after move-out. The file metadata showed it had been created nearly 4 years earlier. The scam was older than all of us. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe. Marta joined by video with her camera off. Damien brought a folder arranged by date. His preparation made it feel like a case. As we compared documents, a pattern emerged. Victor waited after key return, claimed damage equal to or above the deposit, then offered a small settlement for silence. Helena appeared whenever anyone demanded proof. Anonymous accounts defended landlords and called tenants irresponsible. My phone buzzed during the meeting. My new landlord had sent notice that my room agreement would not be extended after the first month because he had received concerning information regarding property damage. Victor had followed through. Damien read the message. He did the same thing to Lena. Then the cafe door opened and Helena walked inside. Helena saw the folders before we could hide them. She crossed the cafe with the smile of someone arriving at a meeting she believed belonged to her, pulled out a chair and placed her phone face down on the table. "This gathering confirms our concerns," she said. "You are coordinating a campaign." Damien closed his folder. "We are comparing documents. You signed an agreement. I suggest you remember that." Marta disconnected from the video call so quickly her icon vanished mid-breath. Helena noticed. I asked how she knew where we were. "You posted enough publicly," she said. I had posted no location. Damien chose the cafe through private messages. Only 3 people knew. Helena leaned closer. "Victor may seek compensation for reputational damage and unpaid repairs." "Show us the invoices," I said. "They are confidential business records. They concern our deposits." "You are not entitled to coordinate claims." Damien slid a photograph across the table. It showed the scratched sofa years before my tenancy. "That proves nothing about later damage," Helena said. "The scratches are identical. Furniture can be damaged more than once." Every impossible coincidence had a prepared explanation. A waiter approached. Helena raised her voice just enough for nearby tables to hear. "These people are pressuring a private owner for money they owe." Customers looked over. She was turning an evidence meeting into a public scene where we appeared like conspirators. "Please stop making false accusations," I said. Helena picked up her phone. Its recording screen was lit. "You contacted former tenants, published the address, and interfered with a business," Your words will demonstrate intent. Damien reached for his folder, but she placed one hand on it. Do not touch my property, he said. Helena withdrew dramatically. You see how aggressive this becomes? The waiter returned with the manager. I explained that Helena had joined us uninvited. She claimed we summoned her to negotiate and were now threatening her. For several humiliating minutes, strangers watched us argue over whose meeting it was. The manager finally asked her to leave. At the door, she turned to me. Your new landlord will receive the complete file tonight. I followed her outside, keeping several steps away. What complete file? Calls, posts, recordings, and witness accounts. You mean a file created after I asked for my deposit? She lifted the phone between us. You have 30 seconds to tell me this ends now. I refused and went back inside. Damien stared at his messages, hands shaking. Helena knew the cafe, he said. The only other person I told was Lena. Before I answered, his phone rang. The caller was Lena. Damien answered on speaker. Lena sounded breathless. I did not tell Helena where you were. Victor called this morning and said Alex was collecting people to commit extortion. I asked why she had called now. He sent me a clip from the cafe and asked whether I recognized Damien. Helena had shared the recording before leaving the building. Lena forwarded it. The video began when Damien told Helena not to touch his property. It excluded her arrival, threats, and hand on his folder. The caption read, Former tenant group becomes aggressive when asked to provide proof. My tense face appeared behind him. Within an hour, the clip circulated in a local landlord forum. Someone found my profile and added my employer beneath the post. Comments called us scammers and professional squatters. A few asked why Victor had shown no invoices, but those comments disappeared. My manager messaged privately, Is there a risk this involves the company? I explained the dispute and sent the archived listing image. She said she believed me, then asked me not to reference work publicly. Victor had made everyone around me wonder whether supporting me might cost them. Then my new landlord called. I saw the recording. You said this was only about a deposit. It is. Helena came to our table and secretly recorded us. The video looks bad. It was edited. Everyone says that when a video looks bad. I asked him to request the cafe footage, but he refused to become involved. I still had to leave at the end of the month. For the first time, I considered taking Victor's 600 zloty and signing. I had lost housing stability, dragged Marta back into fear, and put Damien's agreement at risk. 3,000 zloty no longer felt like the real price. My sister arrived with food and found me deleting a public reply. You are letting his version become the only version, she said. I am preventing more damage. You are reacting when he wants you to react. She asked whether the cafe had cameras. The manager remembered the disturbance. He would not release footage without a formal reason, but agreed to preserve it for several weeks. That promise changed the room. Helena's edit could be compared with the complete recording. I posted one calm update. An uninvited representative had approached our table. A partial clip was circulating and full footage had been preserved. I named no one. The anonymous landscape account replied within seconds, There is no full footage. Only someone speaking with Helena could believe that. The account deleted the sentence, but I captured the notification. Then Lena sent Damien an older image of the same account. It had once used another profile picture. Helena standing beside Victor at a family wedding. The wedding photo did not prove fraud, but it destroyed Helena's claim that she was only an independent administrator. Lena said Helena was Victor's younger sister. She learned it when Victor's mother visited during a repair appointment and called Helena her daughter. I asked Helena about the relationship by email. Personal family information is irrelevant to your debt, she answered. I had never owed a debt. The language had shifted because they needed me defending myself instead of asking questions. Lena agreed to speak by video. She had rented the apartment between Damien and Marta. Victor kept most of her deposit from moisture, flooring, furniture, and unauthorized pet damage. Lena owned a small dog, making the accusation believable enough to scare her. She paid another 400 zloty after Helena warned that replacing the sofa would cost thousands. Did they replace it? I asked. Lena laughed bitterly. Marta later sent me a photo. Same sofa, same scratches. Helena claimed to arrange repairs through a small maintenance business. Every deduction letter included estimates carrying that business name, though tenants received cropped screenshots, never full invoices. I checked my PDF titled Preliminary Repair Calculation. Its footer was cut off, but the file properties listed Helena as author. Damien's estimate showed the same. Marta's old file did too. We compared wording. Localized floor restoration, anti-moisture treatment, upholstery remediation, and furniture stabilization appeared in every document. Prices shifted slightly, but descriptions did not. Damien searched the business name in a public register. It belonged to Helena. She was not simply defending Victor. Her company produced the estimates used to erase deposits. That can be legal if the work was real, Damien warned. Family businesses exist. Then there should be proof the work happened. We had proof it had not. Lena said Victor scheduled each new tenant almost immediately. She moved in 2 days after Damien. Marta moved in 3 days after Lena. I moved in the morning after Marta returned her keys. There was no time for floor restoration, sofa replacement, moisture treatment, or furniture repair. We built a timeline from messages, handovers, and videos. The alleged repairs overlapped with periods when the next tenant already lived there. My sister noticed every estimate had a different date, but each PDF was created close to the moment a tenant challenged Victor, not during inspection. I opened my file information. The estimate Victor described as proof had been created 11 minutes after I requested invoices. Its original file name was not about my apartment. It was called Deposit Template Final. The file name was careless, but not enough. Victor could say Helena used a standard template for legitimate estimates. We needed to prove the charges were recycled. Damien suggested listing every defect by room, wording, amount, photograph, and date. It took hours. We created a private table, preserved each original, and linked every line to a dated photograph, message, or recording. Seeing 4 separate memories become one timeline felt unsettling. The broken chair appeared in 3 claims, although Victor removed it before I moved in. Floor restoration was charged after every tenancy, but the same curved split beside the radiator remained in every move-in video. Moisture treatment was supposedly repeated, yet Victor's messages always blamed ventilation. Sofa charges changed depending on whether a tenant owned a pet, but the scratches never changed shape. Marta found an old message where Victor called the sofa newly purchased at significant cost. Damien's earlier photo showed it already faded. Lena paid her extra 400 zloty to Helena's business account. Damien's partial settlement came from that same account, not Victor's. Money moved between them whenever a tenant resisted. We still did not know who told Helena about the cafe. Lena insisted she had not. Damien showed his messages and offered his phone. Marta knew the location, but Helena's sudden email had terrified her. I hated suspecting her, yet fear makes people desperate. I asked directly, "Did you tell them where we were meeting?" Her video remained dark. "No, I did not tell them." "Did anyone contact you before Helena arrived?" A long silence followed. Victor called my father. He said I was involved with people planning fraud. Her father panicked and demanded details. Marta admitted the cafe name, hoping to calm him. Instead, he called Victor to apologize for her involvement. The leak was not betrayal for money, it was pressure through family, exactly as Marta feared. She began crying and said she should leave. Damien answered gently, "He used your father. That is his responsibility, not yours." For the first time, Marta turned on her camera. She looked exhausted, but no longer hidden. "I kept his messages because I wanted proof I was not crazy," she said. "I am ready to use them." We examined Helena's estimates again. Each displayed a small reference number near the bottom. Mine ended with the same sequence as Marta's. Damien's looked different until he enlarged the scan and found the final character had been typed over. Beneath it, the original number was identical. 3 estimates, issued across nearly 4 years, shared one invoice reference. Then Lena opened her cropped image and whispered, "Mine has it too." 4 tenants had been charged through versions of the same document. That was the first fact no innocent explanation could comfortably absorb. Damien contacted a tenant support association. A volunteer lawyer reviewed our files and warned us not to publish accusations, edit originals, or confront Victor without written records. Then she asked a question none of us had considered. Who actually owned the furniture? The lease called the apartment furnished, but listed no specific items. Victor valued every chair when deducting money, yet had no receipts. Lena remembered a delivery label beneath the sofa. She photographed it while cleaning. The label belonged to a furniture staging company. We contacted the company with the model and order code. They confirmed the sofa had been sold as used staging furniture with existing cosmetic damage. Victor likely bought it cheaply because it was marked. The lawyer said our strongest evidence remained dated records and duplicate charges. She helped us draft preservation requests and separate formal demands. Marta requested her full deposit. Damien asked for the unpaid balance from his settlement, arguing that it had been obtained through misleading claims. Lena demanded her deposit and extra payment. I requested my 3,000 zloty and a correction to the statements sent to my new landlord. Before sending them, we searched for the missing corporate tenant. Damien remembered an employer logo from an envelope. Through old contacts, he found Tomas, who had moved abroad. Tomas recognized Victor's list immediately. His employer had paid the deposit. When Victor withheld it, a relocation coordinator challenged him. Victor returned everything within 2 days and called the accusations a clerical error. That explained why no one heard about a fight. Victor backed down when facing an organization, then continued against individuals. Tomas sent the email chain. A photograph of damaged flooring, supposedly taken after his tenancy, predated his move-in by more than a year. The email also copied Helena under a different title, co-owner of the rental operation. We found archived advertisements where Victor and Helena presented themselves as business partners. One included a testimonial from a satisfied tenant. The profile photo matched the anonymous account before it changed names. Archived comments revealed that the account had defended Victor in earlier disputes, praised Helena's repair company, and attacked tenants asking about deposits. Then Thomas noticed something in the old testimonial. The writing style matched Victor's emails perfectly, including the same unusual punctuation. We checked the account's earliest public post. It was a birthday message signed with Victor's first name. We sent the separate demands that morning. Victor answered mine first. Your coordinated threats confirm malicious intent. Any offer is withdrawn. Helena told Marta that interest was accumulating on old repair costs. Lena received a warning that her dog's damage could be reported to future landlords. Damien received nothing. By evening, the anonymous account published another post. It called me the organizer of a tenant pressure group and included a cropped screenshot of our evidence table. Only 4 former tenants, my sister and the lawyer, had seen it. I called Damien. He did not answer. Marta insisted she had shared nothing. Lena swore the screenshot was not from her copy because her version showed comments on the side. Then Victor emailed me a signed statement bearing Damien's name. It said I had approached former tenants, exaggerated ordinary disputes, and encouraged them to demand money they were not owed. Damien supposedly accepted that Victor's deductions were justified. My hands went cold. The signature looked real. I called until Damien answered. I cannot discuss this, he said. Did you give Victor our table? I said I cannot discuss it. Did you sign that statement? A pause stretched between us. I needed this to end, Alex. Then he disconnected. Victor forwarded the statement to my new landlord, the forum moderators, and my employer's public address. Helena wrote that even my closest collaborator had admitted the campaign was dishonest. At work, my manager and a human resources representative requested a video call. They did not accuse me, but wanted a written explanation because someone alleged I was using company time and equipment to organize harassment. I need you to understand how humiliating this is, I said. A landlord kept my deposit, and now I am explaining my private life at work. My manager looked uncomfortable. I understand, but we must document the complaint. Afterward, I checked the evidence table. Damien's access had been removed. The activity log showed he downloaded a copy shortly before Helena arrived at the cafe. I felt foolish. Maybe Victor had offered the remainder of his deposit for everyone's names and documents. Marta turned her camera off again. Lena said we should pause until we knew what Damien had shared. The group that made me feel powerful dissolved into suspicion. Every notification now felt like another person choosing the safer side. Even my sister asked whether we should stop sharing documents until we understood the leak. That night, a courier delivered a letter from Victor's lawyer. Attached was a move-out protocol I had never seen. It listed every alleged defect. At the bottom was my signature. I stared at the signature. It resembled mine because it was mine, but not from that document. Victor had copied it from the final page of my lease. The upward stroke, the gap between 2 letters, even a tiny ink break were identical. My sister aligned both pages on her screen. The signatures matched perfectly. That cannot happen naturally, she said. It was strong evidence, but I no longer felt strong. Victor had a lawyer, Damien's statement, an online narrative, and access to people around me. I had 10 days to leave my room and a workplace complaint waiting. I packed boxes while Marta apologized for becoming involved. Her father wanted her to withdraw everything. He believes Victor will sue our family, she said. Protect yourself. I mean that. The words hurt because they sounded like surrender. Lena stepped back too. She had a child and feared Victor contacting her current landlord. By midnight, our group chat was silent. I drafted a message accepting Victor's old 600 zloty offer, then remembered it had expired. I had fought until even the insulting exit disappeared. The next morning, my new landlord entered the kitchen while I made coffee. "I need written confirmation of your move-out date," he said. "You have it already. I want no accusations later that I removed you improperly." He pushed a paper toward me. It described the room as undamaged and required my signature immediately. After everything, another landlord wanted a document protecting himself while offering me only his word. "I will photograph the room and sign during handover," I said. His expression hardened. "Victor warned me you create difficulties around paperwork." That sentence finished something inside me. Victor had trained strangers to interpret every boundary as proof I was dangerous. I returned to my room and cried for the first time, not because of the deposit, but because every conversation now required evidence. I filmed walls before sleeping, saved ordinary messages twice, and wondered whether anyone believed me. Then the volunteer lawyer called. She had obtained the cafe's preserved footage through a formal request tied to Victor's allegations. It showed Helena arriving uninvited, touching Damien's folder, raising her voice, recording us, and following me outside. "That helps," I said. "There is more." Damien contacted me before he signed anything. She could not share details without permission, but he had authorized one message. "Do not accept a settlement tonight. Compare the signature on his statement with the signature on his payment receipt." Victor had attached both. I placed them side by side on my desk in silence. Damien's signatures were identical too. The matching signatures changed the crisis into a strategy. Victor had not persuaded Damien to betray us. Someone had copied his signature from a receipt onto a statement he denied signing. Damien joined our call that night. "I am sorry I let you think I turned on you," he said. "Victor offered my remaining deposit if I met him alone. I signed only a receipt after the transfer arrived. Then he demanded a declaration against Alex. I refused." "Why did you tell me you needed it to end?" I asked. "Victor was beside me when you called. He wanted to hear my answer." Damien downloaded the table to preserve it, but never sent it. We checked the activity log and discovered the screenshot came through an old sharing permission. Months earlier, Helena had emailed Marta a folder link. When Marta uploaded her estimate, the platform inherited access, allowing Helena to preview part of our table. It was not a hidden traitor. It was a forgotten permission that Helena had quietly exploited. The lawyer helped us lock every folder, preserve logs, and create read-only originals. We prepared a timeline. Move-in videos, old listings, identical damage photos, duplicate estimate references, Helena's repair business, Thomas's emails, the staging company confirmation, cafe footage, threats, false posts, and copied signatures. Each tenant wrote a separate statement. Marta described Victor's call to her father. Lena documented her extra payment. Damien described the private meeting and transfer. Thomas confirmed Victor withdrew identical claims when challenged by an employer. I documented how Victor's false reference cost me my new room. Our lawyer sent a final demand. It did not threaten publicity. It listed civil claims, requested corrections and repayment, and stated that the evidence could be provided to appropriate authorities for independent assessment. Victor and Helena received a deadline and an invitation for their lawyer to respond. Victor called 6 times. I did not answer. Helena emailed, "You have misunderstood routine administrative practices." We replied only through counsel. Then Victor messaged my sister, claiming I was stressed and manipulated by activists. She answered once, "Please direct all communication to counsel." On the final evening, Victor's lawyer requested an urgent meeting. He said his clients wished to resolve historical misunderstandings and wanted assurance that accusations would stop. Our lawyer asked whether they disputed the files. His answer was careful. "They dispute the interpretation." Then he said Victor and Helena would attend personally. For the first time, they were entering a room where they controlled neither the evidence nor the rules. The meeting took place in a plain conference room at the Tenant Association. Victor arrived in a dark coat. Helena carried 2 folders, and their lawyer looked exhausted. He offered my 3,000 zloty and partial settlements for the others, if everyone signed confidentiality clauses and withdrew statements about the business. Our lawyer pushed the proposal back. "This ignores false references, copied signatures, repeated charges, and legal costs." Helena opened a folder. "The signatures were inserted for administrative convenience after verbal approval." Damien leaned forward. "I refused approval in person." Victor said, "You accepted the money." "I signed a receipt for money you already owed." Victor's lawyer quietly asked him to stop. Then Damien placed his phone on the table. He had recorded the private meeting because Victor had misrepresented earlier conversations. The original file had been preserved. In the recording, Victor offered the unpaid balance. After Damien confirmed the transfer, Victor said, "Now sign that Alex recruited you to make false claims." Damien refused. Helena's voice entered from nearby. Use the receipt signature if he becomes difficult. We only need the document to calm the forum. For several seconds, no one in the room moved. The recording continued. Damien asked why the same repair number appeared on several estimates. Helena answered, because nobody checks reference numbers. The tenant sees a total and either panics or negotiates. Victor interrupted her, but too late. That was the twist none of us planned. Damien had not staged a confession. He had asked why his paperwork looked wrong, and Helena answered because she believed he had chosen money over us. Helena called the audio incomplete. Our lawyer said the untouched file and full conversation were preserved. The cafe footage contradicted their edited clip. The staging company contradicted the sofa claim. 5 timelines contradicted the repairs. Copied signatures contradicted their documents. Victor finally lost his polished tone. What exactly do you people want? Marta answered first. Our own money. Corrections. Costs. No secrecy. Victor stared at her as if she had violated an agreement to remain frightened. His lawyer requested a break. Through the glass, we watched Victor and Helena argue while their lawyer raised both hands. When they returned, Victor sat slowly. He agreed to repay every disputed deposit, Lena's extra payment, Damien's balance, documented legal costs, and my moving expenses. He would send corrections to my employer and landlord. Then he asked for one condition. Please do not take this any further. Our lawyer looked at us. The decision was finally ours. Victor expected us to trade silence for money because that was how he ended earlier disputes. Nobody answered quickly. Our lawyer explained that repayment would resolve the civil amounts. It would not buy false statements, destroy evidence, or prevent truthful cooperation with authorities, platforms, or future proceedings. There would be no confidentiality clause. Victor looked at us. I am trying to protect my livelihood, he said. Marta stayed steady. You used our livelihoods to protect yours. The agreement required payment within 5 business days, written corrections, removal of the edited cafe clip, withdrawal of every repair claim, and reimbursement of documented expenses. The correction to my employer admitted Victor had no evidence I used company resources or organized harassment. The correction to my new landlord admitted the damage allegations were unsupported by a signed handover record. Victor signed. Helena signed. Their lawyer witnessed it. 5 days later, the money arrived. I received my full 3,000 zloty, moving costs, and legal expenses. Marta recovered the deposit she had stopped expecting. Lena received her deposit and extra 400 zloty. Damien recovered the balance withheld for years. Tomas requested nothing but added his statement to the file. We did not publish private addresses or send online mobs. We submitted the evidence through proper channels, reported the disputed documents and repeated deductions for assessment, and gave factual records to the tenant association. The landlord forum removed the anonymous account after reviewing its identity history and manipulated clip. My employer closed the complaint. My manager apologized and I accepted without pretending nothing had changed. My new landlord offered to reverse his decision. I declined. I need housing where a stranger's accusation does not outweigh evidence, I told him. I found a smaller apartment with a detailed inventory, signed protocol, and dated photographs. During the viewing, I asked more questions than before. The owner answered without calling me difficult. Victor sent one last message 3 weeks later. I hope you understand this became larger than necessary. I forwarded it to the evidence folder without replying. He still believed the problem was that several tenants compared stories, not that he took money from each of us separately. That was his final loss. He depended on isolation, embarrassment, and the idea that 3,000 zloty was too small to fight over. Alone, each of us looked uncertain. Together, the same photos, phrases, estimates, and threats became a pattern he could not explain. I never got revenge by screaming at him. I got it by keeping every message he wished I had deleted. And that's the end of this story. Whose side are you on? Share your opinion in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe with the notification bell on if you want more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.